Howdy, folks. When you're in a backyard like this, you're always wondering what's the next project going to be. Here's a couple of cars. Over there is a truck or two. What's it going to be? Well, we're going to start telling you the story of a 1927 Model T Roadster. That Model T Roadster was pulled from this garage back here about 2 years ago now. And we've been working on it, or let's face it, my father-in-law's been working on it for the most part for the last 2 years. We're to the stage now where it's beginning to look like a car again. Today, we're going to start out by showing you pulling that car out from this garage. It sat in this garage for a little bit of near 40 years is what I believe. Hasn't been gotten out, driven, or anything in those 40 years. So it was kind of an adventure even getting it out to begin with. You're going to see that in this video. We're going to pull it out. We're going to have to change the tires on it before we can pull it out front and start working on it. Also, just wanted to point out this is the first of many videos we're going to post related to this 1927 Model T. We believe, of course, the upper portion of it, the body of it, is a fully steel Model T, but the rails underneath it, we believe the frame is probably a Model A. As those of you that have ever done this realize, you don't really understand which monster you have until you start taking it apart. First thing's getting it out, then we're going to show you some videos related to taking it apart. And then we're going to be putting it back together. We're hoping in the near future, or at least by next spring or so, that we'll have it up and running. So we're going to post several videos related to that. The first one being this one, where we're going to be pulling it out. Here's the garage. We're going to pull it out. We're going to, right directly after this, I'm going to post that video up. I'm also going to probably speak a little bit during the video. You'll see that I have one of my old GoPros. I'm going to go in and show you directly beside this car. The way that groundhogs, I think, dug in under it, and we kind of had to dig it out, pull it out, get it out here, change tires. You'll get to see that part next. Then we'll pull it around front. So folks, sit back, relax. We're going to show you the video. I'm going to add in some comments. If you have any comments, leave them in the comments below, and we'll try to address them. So come on along with us. Let's get this car out of the garage. Here we are going back into that back garage for the first time. Notice that most of the things are out of that garage at this time. We're going to walk back. This has been sitting here for 40 years now. But that groundhog's been digging underneath this vehicle. It's kind of funny. You can see inside the vehicle, stuff was actually stored inside of this as it sat in the garage. But up on the walls, you can see some things. This garage was filled full around this car. But the car's in really good shape. If you see the body and you see the top's been sitting, near 40 years. The body's been sitting there 4 years. It's really just dirty and dusty, but overall, when you look at the actual car itself, it's pretty amazing. Now, we're making this into a hot rod. It's not going to be an original Model T, but here we are on the other side. You can see the tires are down in there. They're flat. You can see all the dust. You can see where that groundhog was down in there, but this is what we were working with. And I knew this existed, but I really hadn't seen it until this very day when we opened that door. And this is the start of the adventure of getting this out of the garage. Pretty amazing thing to this point. Now we're moving outside. We're getting the vehicle. We're starting to pull this out. I'm actually standing up on the running board and trying to guide it along, use the steering wheel. What we're quickly figuring out as we're doing this is that it's not steering very well. One of the big reasons is because of those holes that were dug out in the garage, as well as the tires were flat. So after moving it a little bit, we kind of had to stop a moment. You'll see it's kind of a 3 or 4 part situation where we're pulling it out little by little by little. And what you're going to see in the next shot of it is this is it straight on. We can see it coming out, but you can see there's other cars and things in the way, and that's really the situation that we have. How are we going to get this out and make it turn when the steering wheel doesn't really want to turn those wheels and tires to get it out of there? So it's a process. We're going to have to pull it out little by little by little, and you'll see a little bit more of how we actually did finally get it out. Now here's take 2 of it being pulled out. father-in-law, Bob, the man that's doing most of the work here, is starting to pull it again, and I'm trying to turn that steering wheel, but I tell you, it's not turning at all. When you see that front right tire up there, it's essentially flat. So we're again pulling it a little bit out, and you can see me turning, it's not turning. So again, what are we going to do here? That's what we're beginning to think about as we're going through this process. It stops right there for the moment.
Hold on. Wait.
This is that outside view of the same thing going on. I'm up on the running board. It's being pulled out. My mother-in-law, Kathy's to the side. My wife, Christy, is there saying, you can't pull it straight out. You're going to run into that car, and that's what we were running into. And that was what we were trying to figure out. So this was the second take, and we had to stop again and kind of regroup and figure out how are we going to do this.
Wait, Dad. Hold on. Wait.
So here we are on pull number 3. Trying to get it out, trying to steer it. It is not going to turn at all, but we're going to pull it out a little bit more right here. It's going to come forward. You can see me trying to. It's not going to work. Let's just face it. It is not coming out at all at this point. So as we're looking at it again, we're going to try it one more time here, and we're going to pull, and it's going to go forward, and it's going to come almost all the way to that car. It's going to become very, very close to where we can get it out, but not really. It's to the point of, okay, we need to come over there and do something to try to get it out of there. And it came to this point that we thought about, well, maybe we need to change the tire, the wheels and the tires. We didn't at this point, though. But that's what we were thinking. This is that same view from in front of it, and you can see we still don't have clearance. I definitely couldn't stand up on the running board and do it at that time either, so we had to pull it up as far as we could and then again stop and regroup. So ultimately what we did is we jacked it up and we started to shimmy it little by little over. There's Bob and myself just pushing it on the jack little by little, and you can see it moving, thank goodness, far enough to get it away from those other vehicles. And after we were able to do that and get it down, we started finally in earnest starting to pull it out, and we knew we were going to clear the other cars that were back there. You can see that front wheel, that front tire is flat. It's almost like it was being pulled out like it was on a sled or a sleigh, like it was on snow, because even though the wheel was there, the tire in effect was just there. It was not really turning as much, and you'll see that in a moment as we start going forward with this. Yeah, little by little by little, we're saying, okay, we're good to go. Let's get this thing out of here. And there we are pulling it. Thank goodness we got a good enough of a roll to get it out of that little spot and to start pulling it forward. Look at that front tire. That front tire is flat. It's really just rolling along barely, but it's not really even on the rim of the wheel at this point. But thank goodness we were little by little by little able to get this out and place it right here. Now, once we get it to here, that's where it's going to sit for a while. Not for a while, meaning for an hour or so while we did other things to it. But you can see, yeah, see that wheel? It's kind of funny to see it now in slow motion kind of, or see at the time we were thinking, okay, it's coming out, yay, but right now it's being pulled sideways essentially, and it became a deal of, okay, we've got to stop. There is no way we're ever going to get this vehicle out without finally changing those wheels and tires and put new ones on there. As you can see, several cars were in the back there, and several wheels and tires were around. Now here's the other view of us doing the very same thing, finally able to clear the one car that's over there to the side. Everybody making their own little comments along the way, but yeah, when we were right here, we're thinking, yeah, we can do this. And you know, the original thought was, hey, let's get this out and pull it to the front if at all possible. I think we know that once we got going, or we knew that once we got going, that we were gonna have to stop. We were gonna have to do something and put new tires on it in order to get it around front finally. And that was the decision that was made. But thankfully, we got it to this point right now. Okay, so here we are taking the chain off. We're going to start doing some other things, mainly getting those, going and finding some wheels and tires to put on it to at least get this thing out in front of the house so we can start taking it apart and doing all that. But here I am down doing one of the wheels right now, getting that wheel and tire on, and here's my father-in-law doing it as well on the other side. All of this getting ready to actually finally drag this thing around front and start this project. Next up, we're gonna hook up the Model T Roadster right here to a chain, pull it around to the front of the house, wash it off, and really get ready to disassemble it. It's gonna be the last time you really see it in that form in this specific video, because after that, we're gonna take it off the frame, we're gonna clean it up, we're gonna get it ready, we're gonna have to get those suspension parts and all of that ordered up and put onto the vehicle. We're then going to get the engine ready, the transmission, the whole 9 yards. You're going to get to see the entire process, or at least get to see our discussion of the entire process, to where hopefully this thing gets running within the next year. So come on along with us. Let's get it to the front. So finally to the exciting part. We got it hooked back up with the chain. This camera is sitting out front of the vehicle. You see the vehicle pulling it out. The chain is connected. There's some communication going on back and forth of how's it doing, how's it doing. It was doing plenty fine. It wasn't rolling great, but at least it was rolling. So here it comes. I'm up on the running board. Everybody else is following along just in case something is happening, in case we need to stop and say, whoa. But we're moving right along right here. Thankfully, as you can see, all that back tire, very flat, but hey, we're getting it out front. We're starting the drive right here. Here's a second view. This view is actually from the back window of the Navigator as the Model T Roadster is being pulled out. And you can see it's getting tight. It's coming along. And once it got going, we could turn it a little bit. Yay, once we got those wheels and tires on there, you can actually turn it. And there was like a discussion back and forth of, okay, do we need to keep going? Do we need to stop? What do we need to do? And I was like, no, keep going, keep going. It's rolling well. If we stop, who in the world knows? So here we are, rolling right along. We're having to make a turn right here, and thankfully it made that turn. And we just continue along the back of the house and then towards the side of the house. And by this time it was excitement, because we can tell we're going to make it. We're definitely going to make it. So little by little, we're dragging it up to the front. You can see here we're going beyond some other things that are out in the backyard. We're going beside the garage, actually, where this is going to be sitting now, probably for a couple of years at this point, or 2.5 years at this point. And we're bringing it up front to actually the driveway. And when we get it there, we're going to do a couple of things to it. We're going to be able to, right here it was kind of a discussion. Do we stop right here? Do we keep going? We kept going. We brought it up on the pavement because ultimately it's going to go in the garage door back there, and that was the plan. And that's what ended up happening on this given day. This one last view is kind of cool. It's an old GoPro that my wife was holding, and she was going along the side and bringing it along with us. You can see this is the other view where I'm up on the side. Bob's pulling it out. We're just coming right along, and we're bringing it along the edge. Again, this was an exciting day. You realize this has been something that's been planned, actually getting this out for a long, long time. So here we are finally getting this out, bringing it to the front of the house. You can see the turn. Thank goodness it made that turn. We could get the steering at least work that much. Because of course here shortly, we're going to take the whole thing apart. We're going to take it off the frame. We're going to take the body off. The body is going to be worked on a little bit. That top's going to come off. The engine's going to come out. The whole thing is going to be redone. But at the end of the day, what it's going to be is a 1927 Model T Roadster hot rod. The discussion right now is, yes, it's going to have the fenders on it. There's always been kind of a back and forth discussion of that, but that is the plan, to have the fenders. And being that you have good fenders, a good body, and all of that, you can't disagree with it because it's a good looking body. And once it's all said and done, it's going to be a slick looking car. But this is it finally up to the front driveway. Now this last little bit of video here relates to us just walking around. You can look in there, see all the dust. You can see all the dust and the dirt and the grime in there. You can see how that steering wheel and the way it sits straight down, that's something that's not going to be that way soon enough. You can see the windshield. You know, windshield's still intact. The top still intact. The fenders, the body, all still intact. It's dirty and dusty and grimy, but all of that is still intact, so that's very cool to see. But what we did want to do, and you can see the front here, all of that looks decent shape. Looks old, looks dirty, looks dusty. But the one thing we did need to do before it went into the garage is we definitely needed to wash it off. And at first I was like, why in the world are we washing this off right now? Well, at the end of the day, you have to realize this has not seen a washing, a cleaning for 40 years. So the thought was we've got to get it washed off so we can take it back into the garage, because when we take it back there, we're going to be taking it apart. We're going to be disassembling this vehicle. So what's happening right here, we're washing it off before it makes its way into the garage and it's disassembled. The last time you'll really see this vehicle in this form until we start putting it back together. Well, folks, that is us getting the Model T Roadster to the front of the house. It is now currently in the garage. That is where it's being worked on, but we're not going to show that yet. We have a lot of steps to go through to show you along the way. So consider subscribing and hitting that notification bell so that you can be notified when a new video comes on. We do all sorts of car show videos, but this in the wintertime, we're going to post several videos related to the Model T Roadster. Of course, if you have any comments, put them in the comments below. We'd appreciate them. If you see anything we're doing or anything that you think, hey, you would do it a different way, feel free to comment below. But until next time we're talking about the Model T, happy meandering.